Hi folks, Scotty McPaul here with an away day guide. This one's for Brighton. If you're travelling to the Farmer Stadium, or the Amex as it's lovingly referred to, everything you need to know is coming up. Okay, Brighton. The Farmer Stadium, or the Amex, is home to the Seagulls, and it sits just outside of the city to the northeast. First stop on the local line between two sets of university grounds. The club itself been around since 1901 and quickly changed its name to Brighton Hove Albion after initially being Brighton Hove United. Played a lot of years at the Goldstone ground as the home, but when they eventually left there was a 14-year gap between the former home and their current one, which they officially started playing at competitively in 2011. The first game was against Doncaster Rovers, and an interesting twist of fixture fate, their last game at the Goldstone ground was also against Doncaster Rovers. They won both games by a single goal, 1-0 as they left, 2-1 as they returned, but they came from behind in the new ground, meaning that the first competitive goal scored at the Farmer Stadium was actually by Billy Sharp for Doncaster Rovers. Anyway, I'm boring people now. Your capacity is 31,876 and you get about 3,300 for visiting fans for a normal league match. It's a new and modern stadium. It's horrible to drive into and out of, so don't try to drive there unless you've pre-booked parking at the stadium. There's a small handful for visiting fans you do have to pre-book. If you arrive there, they'll send you off to a park and ride, and if it's anywhere near the match, you're not seeing the start, so worth knowing. And also the junction to get into it is absolutely awful. I fell into the trap of going that way once. I thought I got down to the ground with 2 hours to spare and I just made kick-off in the end by less than a minute. So yeah, look at other options. I'll be covering that in parking. If you come in on train, you can come directly into Brighton. Your nearest station is the Falmer local one, and the next one out of Brighton from there is Lewes. And actually, there's 200 parking spots there. Costs around £7 to park your car during the day. It's less than 10 minutes to the ground if you jump on the train, and the train's free if you've got a ticket for the game, so handy. If you are using Brighton Station, it's served by 3 lines. Southern, which will take you along the south coast, different stations towards Southampton and that. Your Thames Link will take you through the capital and up to Bedford and Cambridge, or you can get off on one platform, get the next train on the same platform, and get through as far north as Peterborough on the Thames Link, which gives you options for linking in from the northwest, the northeast and the Midlands. And then your Gatwick Express will get you a little bit faster into London. It only has 3 stops on it. One of them's Gatwick itself, but that'll take you to Victoria Station. It'll take about an hour just over to get into Brighton on that one. Parking, as I mentioned, you can book some stadium parking. It's not cheap and there's not much of it, and it's awful getting into and out of the car. They built a lovely shiny new stadium, but they didn't think of the traffic at all. It's dire. But that aside, the club do recommend some park and rides around the city. There's 3 of them, one at Mill Road, one at the racecourse, and one at Brighton University. And again, get parked up, pay your parking fee at whichever one, and your transport to the ground from there is free with a match day ticket and finishes around half an hour before kick-off, so get in early and get moved up to the ground. There's other bits of parking dotted around in the city and that, but there are parking schemes in force around the stadium. There is no street parking in either of the universities or either of the estates around there, and the club actually go out with stewards and enforce local parking restrictions in conjunction with local enforcement. So be mindful of that. Don't just chuck it on a street because you see others doing it. Worst case scenario, people have had their cars towed because they've been causing obstruction to locals, and that's the last thing you need after a game. Personally, I use a parking app, and there's a lot of people in the estates just to the west of the ground, very reasonable for a short walk, who hire out their driveways on a match day, and I do that. It costs me about £4 or £5. You chuck it into one of those and you know you're alright then. So once you're there and you're parked up if you need to be, let's have a look at pubs. And if you've gone into the estate that I was just talking about, you've got the Ruby, which is also a hotel. Now, it's not a designated away pub or anything like that, but every time I've passed and there's been a mix in there. It's mostly home fans, I would say 90-95%, but there have been obvious away fans in there with football tops on, happily drinking. Now, I'm not sure if that's residents that have stayed at the hotel or something different, but as long as you're in good spirits and seem like a friendly bunch, it seems like they'll let you in. You can find that at Canny United Nurse, and that is going to be your closest pub to the ground. That's not the Fanzone. Further afield, you're going to be in the city, and in all honesty, it's alright. The pubs are generally pretty welcoming. There's plenty of them, and if you get knocked back from one, there'll be another one a short hop away. But I've picked out a couple just for tactical reasons. So your nearest one that is definitely going to be away friendly to the train station is the Evening Star. So you come out of Brighton Station, keep to your right, head straight down the road and it's on your left. You can find it at Timing Scarf Pint, and then a little bit further towards the beachfront from there, there's a couple of Wetherspoons, but the Post and Telegraph is a little bit more popular with football fans, and Legs Surely Skinny will get you to the corner where the entrance is for that one, if you're a fan of spoons. If you have come into Brighton Railway station. It's about 4 miles from the ground. If you want a bus in, catch the number 25 from Churchill Square at stop G, and that runs every 12 minutes and takes around 20 minutes to get up there. But allow a little bit more time. You might not all fit on the first bus, you have to wait again, and give yourself a buffer. The 28 and 29 run up there, but the 25 also comes back to the city and will go through the coach park at the stadium. So that'll be the more familiar one to you if you're going back that way, and that coach park's right near the away fans entrance. As you're heading up to the ground, as I mentioned, there is a fan zone. It's on sort of the north area. You walk up from the railway station and you go sort of clockwise around the top of the ground towards the away end. You'll walk through it, and that's alright. It's mixed. They allow visiting supporters to get in there and enjoy the refreshments on offer, but also the concourses are quite welcoming at Brighton. They go the extra mile. They set up for visiting fans, and they also don't close after the game immediately. So you find a lot of places shut at half time and stuff. These don't. In fact, if you're an early game on a weekend, they actually stay open until much later. And if you go around to the north stand, most of the time, unless there's been any aggravation, they allow visiting football supporters in, and they will show the later games on the big screens in there, so you can hang around, have a beer, watch the later games, and then make your way away once the chaos has died down. Because after the game, if you have come on the train, you're getting one back to either lose or into the city. They've got a massive queue system in operation at the station, and it can take anything from half an hour to an hour and a half to get through that and onto a train, depending on when you get there. If you have got the opportunity to let those die down, that would be my best bet. If you're staying over, as I mentioned, the Ruby is handy. It's in the estate. It looks quite nice, actually. I've never stayed there myself, but it looks decent, reasonably priced. But again, you're nearest one of the stadium. In the city, there's loads of options in Brighton. I've picked out the Leonardo just because it's on the beachfront, if that's something you fancy, as a sort of chain option. And then the A&O hostel just around the corner from there. We can get a bed roughly from about £15 for the night. You can find the Leonardo at Hip's famed Gender, and you can find the hostel at Facing Actual Navy, which both seem quite topical for the area. Anyway, once you are ready to head in, your turnstiles are going to be on the southeast corner of the ground. I say corner, it's a big oval. You'll be housed in blocks S1A to S1F, and if you've got digital tickets, you'll be in S1D and S1E. I believe those are the safe standing bits. Depending on how long I leave this video up for, Brighton do plan to move their away fans from the southeast end of the ground to the southwest once the museum's been moved out of the ground into the city centre, and they're planning on doing that around 2027. So there might have been a slight shift in there, but fundamentally everything else will be roughly the same. But for now, your what 3 words for the away turnstiles area will be drivers trying solutions. It will get to the steps just in front of where you need to get in. The views are really good. There's no restrictions. There's no beams in front of you. As I say, they look after you well. Sometimes they even have local real ales from the visiting fans club or from that area, which I think is a nice touch. If you are in the seated sections, they do have padded seating, which I thought was very posh the first time I experienced it, especially for away fans. The stadium is cashless, so take your contactless cards or make sure your devices are charged up or you've got a power bank, etc. And I think I touched on it earlier, but public transport, your buses, your trains and such are free to use before and after a match in the Brighton and Hove area with a valid match ticket. So that's handy to know. And that's pretty much it from me. Enjoy your day on the South Coast. Hope the sun shines. Hope you get the result you're after. If you like this and found it useful, consider subscribing. Chuck us a like on. It does help. Don't know how, but I'm reassured it does. And I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.